All right, let's see. We're live on Facebook. Good morning,
Yeah.
everyone. Happy Sunday. Happy Easter. Hi, Gordana.
Hi, Lucas. Good morning. Hi, everyone.
Good
Happy
morning.
Sunday and happy Easter. Welcome.
Yes, I'm so glad we're doing this, and it's been really beautiful. The comments that people have shared with us, and these lives are really beautiful.
Yes, I think we are spending time on important things because it's all about getting to know oneself better so that we can create a better world, because we are co-creators of this world, and
Right.
unless we know who we are unconsciously creating this world. And today's topic is actually about the effects of unconscious parenting.
Yes. Yes.
And it might sound like a private thing, I mean, parents and their children, but if you look at it on a macro scale, this is how we co create our reality. If we are not conscious as parents, we, uh, our children inherit unconsciousness from us, and that becomes an unconscious creation, which sometimes might feel like we do not know where we are or
Hmm.
who we are for that matter. So
Right.
I think that we're going to explore this topic, and it's going to be so beautiful because we are going to at least try to see who we truly are so
Mhm.
that we can become more conscious
Yeah.
creators.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was thinking about you this weekend. I had a conversation
Mm,
with a friend, and he was talking about the ancestors
mm,
watching
mm,
us all right now in an arena, and they're celebrating, do
mm.
it, like break it, liberate
Yes.
us. And it reminded me of you and I talking about that scene in Star Wars where she snaps and it goes forwards and backwards,
Yeah.
only the different generational lines of
Mm.
unconsciousness finally coming to this place of consciousness and saying the pain, the unconsciousness, the confusion, all these low vibrational states ends with me. And
Yes.
now I can not only liberate future generations, but also past generations just by becoming conscious in this moment and being a parent. It's
Mm.
interesting. Someone was telling me the etymology of parent is pair rent. You rent from a pair. And there's this whole
Mhm.
concept of, yeah, renting from these pair of adults that hopefully steward us well, but usually a landlord doesn't care as much about the person or the dwelling as you as the person living
Mm.
there cares. And so anyway, it's
Yeah,
fascinating.
absolutely. And it's also the rent. I mean, you don't own your children.
That's right.
You are just taking care of them. You don't
Mhm.
own them. So it's kind of a rent there. You
Yeah.
rent your
Yeah.
children.
Right.
They're not yours to keep. You do not own them. I think that when you realize who you are, you also realize that the child that you have brought into this reality is a sovereign being, which you do not own, which you cannot change. All you can do is help it to become who it truly is.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of parents miss the target. They want their children to become something they want them to be,
Right.
when in truth, a child is here to explore who it is. And your job as a parent is to be there and give them the safe environment for that child to do so.
Right.
Now, what happens when we don't do this, when we are unconscious as parents, is that um, we allow this unconscious energy to condition away our children from knowing who they are, because they know who they are when they enter this world.
Right.
What happens is that they are conditioned to forget it.
Mm.
And as parents, we stand closest to them so we can actually help them not to forget who they are by
Right.
standing consciously with them. How do you do that? Well, you have to start with yourself. You have to know who you are before you can even think of being a good parent to a child. That is why we talk about unconscious parenting. And this is also why I wrote this book. It's all
Yes.
about knowing who you truly are. Because when you do that, you know the natural laws or the natural rules
Hmm.
in this reality. You don't need a law book. You don't need anyone to tell you what to do. When you know who you are, automatically you also know what you can and cannot do with a child.
Hmm.
It's very simple, but it starts in here. It starts with you. I know that my parents were conditioned into not figuring out who they were. They came from harsh environments, no money, um, being from a lower social strata of the society. And of course, nobody tells you you need to find out who you are, because nobody wins when they tell you this. You have to want to do it yourself. And they didn't, because it was not in their cultural heritage to do so.
Hmm.
And when I, as a child, start to do it, it scares them, because they know that this is danger in their world. This is dangerous to do, to figure out who you are. So they do everything they can to stop me from doing it, because they think that I would be in danger then. This is how this is prolonged generation after generation. When you do not understand that the child is here to explore something specific, and you can evolve with your child instead of stopping it from evolving into who it's supposed to be here.
Right. Okay. Two fascinating things that, um, well, I'll say the second one first. I had a big self realization weekend. I had a lot of things that the mask wearing has been like the premier visceral fight in me. And
Mm,
I don't, and someone asked me, I was at a wedding and I officiated this wedding and I went into this facility without a mask and there was a little bit of a scuffle, a verbal scuffle. And it just irked me so badly. It just, and someone asked me, is it political? I said, it's not political. Do you need to change the earphones or are you
yeah,
okay?
just a
Okay,
second.
no problem.
Continue.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I'll keep talking. So I had, this guy asked me if,
Vad ska jag säga till
hold
honom? Att vi inte live?
on. There you go. I muted you. There you go. You got to unmute. There you go. Sorry, I muted you. So you'll need to unmute when you're ready to talk. Um, there you go.
Oh,
So
Lucas,
yeah,
sorry, I need to ask you, are we live?
yeah.
All right. Okay,
That
sorry.
could,
It
yeah,
was
we're
my, yeah.
um can Gregor not find it?
No, I don't think you can find it.
We're live on the personal pages.
All right.
But yeah, we're live right now. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Keep going.
Sorry.
No problem.
Continue.
No problem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this guy asked me if it's political. I said it's not political at all. I said it's when I was young, I was forced to do things that horrible things, and I didn't want to do them, and I was kept silent about these things. And I said it's no different than now. I don't want to. So are
Mm,
you telling me I have to do something against my sovereign will and to be
mm,
quiet about it or to not speak? I said it crosses the very core. And I was unpacking all these things. And my buddy, um, this Navy SEAL friend of mine was with me and he said, well, when you put that energy towards someone that wants you to put a mask on, you're putting the perpetrator, you're basically recreating that trauma every time.
yes.
And I was
Hmm.
like, it was a massive breakthrough where at the end, I want to love everyone. I want to love these people. I don't want to be
Mm,
angry at them. And they're not the actual perpetrator of that abuse when I was young. And I was
mm,
projecting because I couldn't fight then. And now I want to fight them now, but they're not the
mm.
ones that need to be fought with. You
Yes.
see this weird dynamic of
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
and then I realized I'm the perpetrator to them. And this all ties back to childhood, because I am now protecting and saving the child that I was, and I see these people that are forcing me to do something against my will as a perpetrator. Now, in the
Mm.
inverse, so many people comply because
Mhm.
they felt the threat of the authority, and
Yes.
I am not complying. Therefore, they're going to get in trouble. If it's an interest. It all
Mhm.
goes back to childhood. This is my point. It
Yes.
all comes back to awareness of our childhood. And I drew this little guy right here.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that when we come into this world, we're pure consciousness,
Mm.
we're open to everything. And then we
Mm.
meet our mom, and a line gets,
Mm.
and then we meet
Mhm.
our dad, and he brings his stuff,
Mhm.
and then kids at school. And by the end of the day,
Mhm.
we're like adults. We
Yes.
don't even remember who we really are, who the
Yes.
pureness of where we are.
Mm.
And I think conscious parenting is remembering who we were before all those squiggles on us.
Exactly. This is a very, very nice description of what conscious parenting means. Because if you have a bad childhood, there are imprints, energetic imprints in you, which will control your perception. Your childhood imprints controls your perception of reality in the now moment, which means that you will be triggered by things reminding you of things that you lived through in your childhood, only it is triggered by something in the now moment. And that is like a filter over your eyes, because you cannot see the truth in this. You will see what you saw as a child and react to it as a child, which means that if you do not solve this, you will literally see your reality through that child's eyes. And that is not the truth of your reality.
Right.
As you say, the masks triggers you into becoming um, maybe angry or wanting to change something. Or if you feel that you need to be silent, you will remember that you had to do that as a child. And all of these things trigger responses within you, which, if you were totally present in the now moment, looking through no filters at all, you wouldn't experience it that way. It's the interpretation of the now moment filtered through a childhood trauma. And what we're talking about, if you want to become a conscious parent, you need to look at the childhood trauma and see if it is a filter. Anything that is triggering you in this reality is literally based in some kind of childhood trauma. And our children, we love our children, and they will trigger us so horribly much because we love them and we want to help them. But how do we know that it is not our childhood traumas which we are projecting over to our children, not helping them actually, and not understanding ourselves either? So what we talk about and what we want to talk about is to become a conscious parent by being present in the now moment and realizing that what you're looking at it and asking yourself, am I filtering this through my own traumas, or am I looking at some truth here? The problem with truth is that if it comes with a bad emotion, with a negative gravitational pull, it's usually not coming from your soul. It comes from your ego, and it's usually connected to some kind of illusion or some kind of negative belief system that you have. So being angry at a child, there is some kind of negative belief system going on in that moment if you cannot see the loving part of your child at that moment. So it might seem like a mission impossible, but it is not. It's about being present in every now moment and being able to discern what is your baggage, your emotional baggage, and what is your child's problem, to be able to see the difference between the two. My parents could not see this. They didn't know what was theirs and what was mine. And as a child, I didn't know that either. That's not my job as a child to know.
Right.
But for me, it's being a parent, it is your job to know what's yours and
Hmm.
understand and cleanse it or do something with it so that you can change it.
That's that's powerful, and that's where I think we're going as a collective right now. People are
Mm,
waking up to this, where
mm,
we've tried everything else. It's like the marketing, the media, the everything has
yeah.
been sold to us, and now we're coming back to us and the
Mm.
truth of us.
Yeah, I feel like it is a consciousness, a raising of consciousness that is being fought within each and every one of us, and we have to be aware of that it is happening within each and every one of us. 10 years ago, we wouldn't be able to speak like this. Most people wouldn't even think about this.
Right,
But where we are right now, it is about becoming more conscious to
mm,
who we truly are.
right. Okay, I just figured it out. I we are live.
Okay.
We've been live. Tell
Okay.
Gregor that
Okay.
we've been live, but it was locked settings, so now we can share it
Okay,
publicly.
because he says the link is not working. Owner have limited access for others.
What
So
the
it,
heck? What the heck?
yeah.
Well, all the stuff that we've gone live, we can put on YouTube later. And welcome everyone who's now joining us on the live. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, we are. I don't know, weird settings. A couple weeks ago, everyone, um, we tried to go live on Facebook, and they changed the settings. And now, I'm gonna send this. Does Gregor have this?
Well, I hope he has. He's in another room, so I hope that he
Okay,
has it right now. I can.
I just messaged it to him, so
All right.
like this.
Okay.
We're good. We're good. Um,
So welcome everyone.
well, hello, hello. You
Here
know,
we are.
the joys of this all.
Mm,
Um, did when you had your son,
mm,
like we've talked about this, but were there
mm.
moments that you saw him at an age that reminded you of how you were treated when you were his age? And did anything ever happen like that?
No, I don't feel that I was triggered to look at myself through him. What I was triggered to do is more to become conscious of his needs,
Hmm.
almost overly conscious of his needs, becoming very much pleasing to him, which is, of course, a trigger within me because the way my parents treated me, I became a people pleaser. I was afraid um, to be in opposition to them because I knew that it was connected to survival. So when he was born, I wanted him to feel so welcome and so precious and um, so special to me that he would never experience any fear when he was around me.
Hmm.
And that can also be, I mean, that is my patterns working through love, but yet it is a pattern within me working. So becoming more conscious of who I am gave me a more balanced way of being with him, not hanging over him all the time, allowing him some space because that was what he needed. I needed love.
Right.
He needed more space from me. So I had to become conscious of his needs, his true needs, not my needs. My needs were to be loved, 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 loved. His needs, he was loved. So
Mhm.
his needs were give me some space. I need to do this by myself. Allow me to be who I am. That was my trigger. So
Mhm.
a trigger can be hidden underneath layers of love and care. It can be too much. Where a healthy relationship is to understand what the other person needs, not your needs towards the other person. It
Right.
is what does this new little human being need in this world? What is it that I can bring so that that person can grow consciously.
Right.
Because of course everyone needs love, but if there is love already and I'm over delivering love, then that might be the problem for my child. Maybe my child needs space instead. So you have to be conscious and you have to be present in your relationship to your children. Not every child needs the same thing.
Right.
I know. What would you have been needing as a child? Probably the same thing as I.
Yeah. Yes.
Love.
Yes. Love, and not being used, but being truly, yeah, to love and to feel safe. And these two
Mm,
things, when I didn't get those as for a very long time, then I kept that pattern,
mm-hmm,
and that continued into adulthood until I finally
mm,
hit rock bottom and
mm,
had to unlearn all the non-healthy behaviors that I had carried
mm.
with me. And it's interesting, as you're talking, there's that story of Michelangelo and the statue of David where they asked him, how did you build it? And he said it was always there. He just moved
Yes.
away the rough edges. And
Mm-hmm.
it's almost reverse what we do to children. They come in as the statue of David, and
Yes.
we just put all this garbage back on them where they're this
Mm-hmm.
formless stone. And you're like, now I got to
Yes.
re-chisel this off when we
Mm-hmm.
come into this world pure. And this
Mm-hmm.
narrative, religion has a real, I think, destructive um, influence in parenting. This concept of original sin, which doesn't exist in the Bible. The one verse that the Bible talks about, David says, in iniquity did my mother conceive me. That's just this verse, and his mother's never mentioned in the Bible. And he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't counted as the brother with the brother. So the theory is perhaps his mom wasn't the same mother as all the other brothers. But they
Mm-hmm.
take this one verse that he's reflecting on his life and they say original sin. We're born sinners. Well, if we're born sinners, then the only way is to drive out that inherent evil
Mm-hmm.
through trauma so that we
Mm.
become good. It's so crazy.
It's backwards. We are born pure and
Sure.
beautiful and
Yes.
curious and conscious,
Yes.
and we are born as windows of opportunities for those
Yes.
who are already here but have forgotten who they are.
Yes.
Every child is a reminder of who we all are. If we
Yes.
would spend some time with the child and look at it, we would remember who we are. And that's the point. But if you are too busy as a parent with whatever it is that's going on in your life, you will not be able to see this, and you will think that you are supposed to teach the child anything. You're not supposed to teach the child anything. You're supposed to take care of it until it can take care of itself. And
Yes.
it will learn while doing this.
Right.
I think that we really do have it backwards in this world. We
Right.
do have it backwards because we don't know who we are. And then we think that we need to show our children who they are. How can you do that when you don't know who you are?
Right.
I mean, you see the mission impossible here. If I don't know who I am, how will I ever be able to show the child who that child is? So
Right.
it becomes inherited. That's the real sin, inherited from parent to child, from child to grandchild. That
Yes.
is the real sin, not stopping and saying, okay, wait. Where are we going with this?
Right. Right.
I think that is our true sin here. Because if we never go inside, if we never look, who am I and what am I doing in this reality, we will be reacting from the wounds. We will always be reacting from some kind of anxiety within us,
Mm.
projecting that onto the child,
Right.
which becomes the child's way of exploring this reality. And if you look at it on a macro scale, if many of us, and I really think there's very many of us that were brought up to be people pleasers, then any authority, be it a government, be it news, be it a teacher in school, will we will always try to please them. And we will always feel like we're never good enough. And I think the entire population is into this mass anxiety mode of being mass people pleasing mode, where
Yes.
we feel unworthy.
Yeah.
And of course, that creates a society where a newborn child, we push it into that society and we think that is the normal way of being, when the child isn't that way when it's born here. It is open and curious and doesn't understand that it isn't worthy of anything because it craves everything. It says, I want food, take care of me, change my diaper in
Mm.
the middle of the night. That is not someone who doesn't know its worthiness.
Mm.
It is when the child is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old when it starts to understand that in this world, I am unworthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That, I think that we need to stop that and start parenting children who will not see it this way.
That's right.
And it starts with ourselves.
One of the things that I've learned just through my own healing and not wanting to continue any cycle that I was raised with is I apologize to my children right away.
Yes,
I sit them
absolutely.
down and say, I am sorry. That is
Mm,
not the behavior that, I apologize and
yes,
I admit when I'm wrong as opposed to just this facade of like, go to your room. And I'll
yes.
always go back, and it's happened less and less and less
Mm,
where I've needed to, but I don't want them to grow up thinking that I'm perfect. We teach in our house that we're all perfect the way we are, but no one's perfect in behavior, that we're all learning. And this is a big
mm,
dance and we're all practicing. And I
mm,
said, and I always tell my oldest, I'm learning. Are you learning? Did you learn? If she has to be, if she has to learn a lesson, I'm like, did you learn? Yeah. Am I learning? She's like,
mm,
yeah. Like, then we're all on the same page here. We're all learning
mm.
and it's okay. And that has unlocked so many beautiful doors. Connection. My children feel safe enough. They tell me things. I'm like, wow, thank
Yeah.
you. Like, that's amazing. You feel safe to share your inner thoughts with me and not afraid. And I don't have to pry. When I was growing up, my dad would always ask, what are you thinking? What are you thinking
Mm,
about? What are you
mhm,
thinking about? I'll be in a car. What are you thinking about? And I'm like, just like, I have to like say something. It's the craziest thing. Now I'm like, can be with my children. And they're just sharing all these thoughts, dreams, the dream that they had, the pictures. I'm like, this is the coolest
mm,
thing because I'm not in their way. I'm
mm.
stewarding and just holding space for them
Yes.
to be.
Absolutely. It's about the space, literally about the space, to hold space for your children by just being present, because this is what children want. They want to be seen. There is an experiment called the still face experiment, and it's done by Dr. Let me see it, Edward Tronick, I think his name is. And it's about a little child and how a child reacts to your facial expressions.
Mm,
And this experiment is this there's a little girl and her mother, the girl is maybe 1 years old, and her mother is speaking to her and she's smiling, and the little girl is pointing with her finger and she's smiling back and putting out her arms and she's interacting with her mother. And then the mother stops, no facial expression. She just looks at the child. And the child starts trying to connect with the mother. And when she can't connect with her, she starts pointing and then looks at her and then goes, ah, what's this? Like that. And
wow.
after a while, maybe a minute or so, the child starts turning away its head. The little girl starts turning away her head. And then she starts crying and behaving in a very negative way because she wants the mother to see her. This is just 1 minute of this child's life because the mother returns back to her normal self afterwards, and the baby is back with her and they have this beautiful connection. But during this 1 minute of this little girl's life, she is already reacting to this. Now imagine doing this your entire childhood.
Mm,
Parents who do not see you, whatever you do, they don't see you. They only see you when you do something that is not good. and you get punished for this. Now, what kind of a human being are we parenting in that moment? A person who would never know, or who would think that if I do bad stuff, that is the only time they will see me.
Right. Right.
Because you don't exist unless you do something bad. This is how that type of parents react. They don't see you until you do something bad. I know that in your case, it was like that. When
Yes.
you did something bad, that is when you were seen,
Yep.
not otherwise. And
Right.
the same thing for me. I mean, I could do great stuff. And that's how you become a people's pleaser. You do everything to be seen, or you turn out to be a horrible person, horrible in quotation mark, doing only bad stuff to be seen.
Right.
But
And
none of these two ways is a balanced way of exploring your reality.
right. And one of the things that I've experienced, for instance, when I started my creative agency and marketing agency, I'm 2 years in, and I hadn't taken a paycheck. I had employees. We're paying everyone first before ourselves, and I'm just hustling and doing my best. And I remember calling my dad and saying, all the things that I was doing. I was hoping he'd say, "Really good job" or "Awesome," but he said, "What do you think? You're better than me?" And it cut it like
Yes.
tore my soul in half, and I hung up and I'm
Yes.
crying, and I'm like, God, this is, and I was not yet conscious. I was still in this dense pain, but I see parents compare their children to them.
Yes.
It
Yes.
to me is the most sick and asinine way of viewing the. May all children flourish in emotional health, success, and material
Yes.
well beyond where we are. May they flourish. May they lead us
Yes.
into the new earth. How dare this unconsciousness stifle? And I see it a lot. I see it with other people, and have to lovingly remind them, like, you're, yeah.
Yeah. It is not understanding that the child is born more evolved than you are
Mhm.
from
Yes.
start,
Yes.
and that this is an opportunity for you to become more of who you are when you have a child in your close space, so to speak.
Yeah.
Understanding the relationship, I think that is where it needs to start. Understanding the relationship that you you are given a child as a gift so that you can remember who you are
Hmm.
again. It is a gift, it is not a burden. Do you know how many children can get to hear every day what a burden they are to their parents? I was a burden to my parents,
Yeah.
absolutely a burden, economic and a burden, simply a burden.
Hmm.
It's it is not the right way. It is not the right way, period.
Yeah.
Nothing can follow that. It is not the right
That's
way.
right. Do you hear? It is not the right way.
Yes,
That's
it is
right.
not the right way.
That's right.
Absolutely not. You to understand what the frequency of a child is and to allow that into your own frequency, allow yourself to be elevated by this. I
Hmm.
know that a lot of parents are tired, they have 2 jobs or 3 jobs and they don't have the time, and yet there is always a now moment.
Hmm.
With every child, there is always a now moment, and it doesn't matter how tired you are or wherever you are or whatever you're doing in this now moment, there is always a gate to the child's heart,
Hmm.
and you are holding the key always. So it doesn't matter what you have done, where you've been, how much time you have, if you are present in the now moment. As you say, when you do something wrong, you say, I am sorry to that child. And it reverses everything. It changes everything. It has to come from your heart. It
Yes.
has to be
Yes.
honest. It
Yes.
has to be present. you're not saying I'm sorry to make the child happy. You're saying I'm sorry because you want to create this sacred space of forgiveness together with your child, so that the child may feel how it feels to correct something that was wrong. Because in that moment, the child learns that it is okay to make a mistake. And it's okay because you can correct when you make a mistake. Otherwise, you go through life afraid of making a mistake. And
Right.
fear is not the best frequency to live in your entire life. So every now moment contains this possibility or gift to connect to your child. And it is always, and I underline this, it is always the parent's responsibility to
Yes.
communicate.
Yes.
Always. The child doesn't know better.
Hmm.
You do. As a parent, you do know better. You
Yes.
have to be the one wanting the communication, and also um, creating the space for that communication to be. It is your responsibility as a parent, period.
Yes. And I heard, I don't know when or who said it, but when we ask God for forgiveness, who in the context of this could be like father figure, we don't go to God and say, "Oh God, forgive me." We actually stand with God and look
Mhm.
at the behavior that we did objectively and say, "You're right. That that wasn't that wasn't the best." And it's not, no, I'm not the best, or it has nothing to do with me. It's, we can objectively look at it. And it's the same when I go to my children. I don't,
Mm,
I look with them and say that I'm I'm sorry
mm,
for that. That's not part of us. We
mm,
explore this together and we can detach from it and not make it part of us. I think part of unconscious parenting is putting the identity of behavior on the child. When the child's just
mhm.
exploring reality and exploring, it might cry to see, do you really love me?
Yes,
Do you really
exactly.
love me? If it's conditional, and we play
Mm,
this conditional game out over and over and over in this dance of conditional love,
mm,
then at the end of the day, what is society here? Love hurts.
mhm,
Love is gonna, I'm gonna get hurt if I open up. Well, in the
mhm.
conditional sense, yeah, because that's how we were parented.
Yes, because as we spoke earlier in our other sessions, it's about seeing love as something that is transactional. If you do this, I'll give you that.
Yes.
And that is not love. That is something else. I don't know what that is. Economics, maybe, but that is not love.
Mm,
Love, true love, is unconditional. You give without wanting anything back, and
right.
then you cannot get hurt. That is why love doesn't hurt. Real, true love does not hurt because it's not transactional. There is no space for hurt to be created in this. Hurt is created when some kind of need is not fulfilled. But if you give without the need of getting anything back, well, then there is no hurt to be done there, which means that you're giving true love. Also, asking yourself the question as a grown up and as a parent, what am I bringing to the situation?
Mm,
Am I bringing clarity or confusion? Am I bringing love or am I bringing fear into the equation?
mm.
Am I bringing ego or am I bringing soul into the equation? You'd be surprised how many times, if you honestly answer, you are actually bringing confusion, ego, and fear into the situation because you want something to be done. You want the child to change. So you want to change the child. That is how you do it. If you bring ego and confusion into this,
Mm.
then you might win over the child and the child will do as you say, but that's not how you prepare the child for a beautiful life.
Right.
That is how you prepare the child for struggle in life.
Mm.
And the way I see reality, we are all creating this reality together. We are co-creating it through our minds. Our imagination and our belief systems are the building stones of this reality. So if a child is taught that you cannot make any mistakes, and if you do make mistakes, there are consequences here, the
Right.
child will start creating in fear. And when you start creating in fear, more of fear you will explore in this reality.
That's right.
So by knowing who I am and knowing that unconditional love is our communication mode, I can stop that vicious cycle of anger and fear and anxiety. There will always be anger, fear, and anxiety, but I can tone down, dial down that
Mhm.
frequency
Yeah.
by knowing who I am and giving that frequency to my child, allowing it to know who it is. That might not be the same thing as me. It might be totally different from me, but it's still okay because the child feels safe in the environment that we've created to explore the difference.
Hmm. That's it. Safe to explore.
Yes, safety to explore because you are here to explore.
Yeah.
And since we've created this society which is based on anxiety and fear, we think that that's the way it's going to be forever. It is going to be so forever until we say, no, it ends here.
Yep.
It stops here.
Yes, that's right.
I need to change. I remember so well when my son was, I think he was 10 or something like that, and he was bullied in school, and I wanted him uh,
Hmm.
to learn martial arts because I thought that that might help him. And we were on the floor together, and I told him, push me as hard as you can, because I wanted to teach him how to push someone else. And he was devastated. He said, I can't do that.
Hmm.
Uh, I will hurt you and I will hurt someone else. I cannot do that because he is of a higher consciousness than me. And I was thinking, what am I doing? Why am I trying to teach my child something that is not a part of who he is?
Hmm.
Why am I doing this? This is insane. I need to teach him something else. And I think we do this because we love our children. We want them to survive in a society which seems harsh, but we cannot forget that we're the one creating this society. And if no one says no to this, well, then we will continue to create the same type of authoritarian society where we are all small beings saying yes to everything because we want to please everyone around us.
That's right.
Somewhere that needs to stop, even if it takes 2 generations. It needs to start somewhere.
Yeah,
Might as well be with us. Why not?
that's right. Unconsciousness is the abdication of choice. When
Yes.
we, because a conscious person, even if you want to perpetuate fear, you at least say, I am choosing to create fear in this child's life. That is
Yeah.
consciousness. That is choice and intent.
Yes.
Unconsciousness is just allowing fear and control and tyranny to reign.
Yeah.
But the more I think we wake up to consciousness, we realize that it isn't fear that we want to create in the child. We want to create what we wish we would
Mm.
have had, which was unconditional love, a safe space to explore,
Mm.
knowing that we're, as far as that child explores, we will be there with them, walking with them, holding space for
Mm.
them. Because this concept, I was thinking about this weekend. A lot of things happened this weekend,
Mhm.
and uh, I was talking to someone about virginity,
Mm.
and there's so much shame from the world we came from. I mean, it's heinous. It is heinous, the shame that is put upon
Mm.
people. It's like, you lost it. You, what, I didn't lose anything.
Mhm.
I gained experience. I gained, I
Yes.
mean, and I'm not even talking from my own personal experience.
Mm.
This person lived with so much shame.
Mm.
When we consciously can broaden the aperture of that camera, it's like we're looking like this, and then we
Yes.
broaden it. Like,
Yes.
there's nothing that is irreversibly um bad. It's all plane in this realm of consciousness, we all go back to the same place. We all stop breathing at some point, whether we lived
Mm,
120 years or we lived 10 years.
mm,
It's all the same function. And a conscious world and conscious parenting and a conscious society is choosing to remove fear and bring love and bring
mm.
safe, not safety in the sense of fear, but because there's freedom to explore, that's where the safety is found.
Yeah, well, I think this is why forgiveness is such a tool in this reality, which we are not
Mm,
using at all. Forgiving someone for making a mistake is to actually allow them to see this mistake as only feedback because we stand in love all the time. That is what forgiveness is for. I remember as a child daydreaming about my father saying, I am so sorry. And it would have taken just one, I am so sorry, just one for the entire childhood of emotional abuse.
mm,
Just one honest, I am so sorry, that was wrong.
honest. Yeah.
Yes, honest, of
Yep.
course,
Yep.
honest,
Yep.
nothing else. There is no true forgiveness without honesty. Everything that is something else. That is not forgiveness. That is, I don't know what that manipulation maybe.
Yeah.
For me, an honest, I am so sorry for what I did to you would release me from the victimhood that I've lived in for many, many years. That's a
Mhm.
frequency, which is a tool that I use to create my own reality and puts me in a reality that I don't want to be, even when he is not around. That's how this energetic imprint works within us. And
Mm.
it takes only one honest, I am so sorry for what I did to you. And do you know what that does to the one that says this too? It releases that person too from all the bad energies that were around it. It releases the person who did it too, if there is honesty. It is atonement.
Wow.
It's a miracle elixir almost in your body because you understand that everything is released, and this energy that is released creates this openness and freedom within you.
Mm.
So just, I am sorry. Honest, I am sorry, forgive me is so, so miraculous in this reality. And I do not see that um, everywhere. It should be everywhere, telling each other that we are sorry for what we did, honestly. And that would release us from a lot of pain. But keeping someone in guilt is a horrific thing to do. You were talking about virginity.
Mhm.
Keeping someone in guilt who does something that is interpreted as a sinful thing by
Yeah.
someone else,
Yeah.
and then keeping that person in guilt forever and ever,
Yeah.
that to me is demonic almost.
Yeah. Agreed.
It really is. This is a demonic frequency to do something like that
Yeah.
to a young human being.
Right.
If you love someone and you explore physical love with that person, where is the sin in this? I do not see it. I
Yeah.
really don't.
Right. This time that we are in right now, it's interesting. We're talking about atonement, forgiveness. Today's Easter, and
Yes.
there's so much narrative around,
No.
the resurrection is more than just this concept of Jesus rising from the dead, but that which was dead is now alive again. And I think that's this whole concept of atonement and forgiveness and saying sorry. It's like we could be an unconscious parent, but when we have the humility
Yes.
to receive that love and find the forgiveness of ourselves, we can create this space and bring life back into
Mm.
there's no moment that is too far gone where we can't bring consciousness back into as a parent or a family. It's like at the last second, if your dad would have said,
Yes.
I'm sorry,
Hmm.
it's almost like the thief on the cross on saying to Jesus, Lord, remember me. It's that last second narrative of
Hmm.
like, just
Hmm.
have the humility to, and I think it takes it, this is a big thing, humility.
Yes.
In the ego and the wound, there is no humility, but in the, I mean, to apologize to a child takes humility.
It does. Most people don't understand the power in it because they think that they lose power when they
Mm,
do this, when instead both gain power. Because
yeah.
forgiving someone and asking for forgiveness is to allow Christ consciousness
Yes.
to shine through.
Yes.
This is the awakening. This is the second coming. This is the light within each and every one of us
That's right.
to allow that. And it doesn't have to be, like fireworks. It can be in a little child's room
Yes.
late at night, a parent and a child sitting together, and a parent being totally brutally honest and saying, I am so sorry for what I did to you. That is light
Yes.
that can be seen from the other side of the universe. That's how
Yeah.
bright it is.
Yeah. That gets me choked
And
up.
it changes everything. It changes the past, it changes the future in that now moment when this happens. So, and that is what consciousness actually is about, to understand that there is no power structure between a parent and a child.
Mm,
You do not lose power by seeing the child, by allowing the child space to explore who it is. You actually gain power because you become more open, you give more space to the child, and it stays there with you.
mm,
When you start putting boundaries on it, when you start saying this but not that, you are limiting your access to that child's consciousness. And that's how it creates limitations instead of freedom. And this is why we feel more comfortable as a society with limitations than freedom. I mean, it's insane when you look at it, because we can talk about the micro or micro um, aspect of this in each and every one of us, in each home, between a parent and a child. But if we multiply this and look at everyone in the society, when we start doing this, we open up the society.
mm.
It takes time, but we do that. We open it up, not close it down, fill it with more fear and more anxiety, and ask ourselves, why are our children not feeling well? Because they are having a healthy reaction to a very unhealthy environment. So, just looking at it from that perspective might give us a clue where we need to start, and that is here. Now, that is good news if we can start here, because this is the only thing I can control in this reality.
That's it.
Isn't it? I mean, this is the only place I can make a change. This is the only place I control in this reality. But that is also where everything changes when I find myself.
Mm. We're in this era politically and in society where
Mm,
the word revolution is thrown around a lot. The color revolution, the
yeah.
American Revolution, the French Revolution, the Bolshevik Revolution, these revolutions. You know, the revolution that's never given any credence to is the revolution in India, where no violence took place. And it was led by a man who said, be the change you want to see.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
a silent and peaceful revolution, and everyone went inward. And
Mm,
they finally saw that the power was not an external force. The power was changing within and holding that space. And when I changed, you all of a sudden saw yourself. And if you
mm,
had the humility, you would change. And that is how India overthrew the British Empire without a shot fired. It is
mhm,
no wonder they don't talk. They don't, the powers that be don't want people to really understand what was
mm,
happening at that time. But the India Revolution, or the Indian Revolution, led by Mahatma Gandhi,
mm.
it's that internal world, and that's the only thing we can control.
Yes. It's the shift of a belief in each and every one of us, because every belief is like a building stone in this reality. So if we shift, suddenly you have a different building. because we shifted a belief system within us. We
Mhm.
changed the energetic imprint that we have had for a long time. And I think that what we need to look for is freedom,
Yes.
not limitations.
Yes.
Freedom for our children and for everyone.
Yes.
Freedom. That is where we need, because we came here to explore this world. How do you explore this world if there are only limitations everywhere? If
Mm.
we teach our children, you can't do this, you can't do that, no, 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 no. How many times do you hear no until you lose hope?
Yeah.
When we, by the time we are adults, we've heard so many no's that we just adapt to what is because it's no use to try anything else. And then we reach midlife and we go, what happened here?
Hmm.
Because midlife is a portal into wisdom, and wisdom will tell you there are no limitations. So just sparing ourselves this path until we reach midlife and enjoying it while we are young, understanding that it is freedom we want here, not more limitations. That is, and it all starts within.
It all starts within, and it all starts
Yes,
with our relationship. You said something so beautiful about the three generations or in two generations, and
yes.
the book of Malachi, which is the last book of the Old Testament. This prophet says, I will send Elijah before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, and he will return the heart of the fathers into the children and the heart of the children to the fathers. And it's this three generational coherence again, where we
Mm-hmm.
finally see that it's not about just me, it's about the impact of the posterity of one generation, two generation. And we are waking up to this. We can only go down this route of people pleasing on a global level for so long, and then we have to wake up and say, who am I trying to please?
Mm-hmm.
And are they doing what they're asking me to do? No.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And for children and getting the conscious parenting, our unconscious parenting still stems from we're trying to please something of the
Yes,
past. And when we can
yes.
say no more, it starts within humbling ourselves, our children will flourish, their souls will be ablaze, and
Mm.
this is the light that the world is craving.
Absolutely. I mean, it doesn't come overnight. It comes in every now moment.
Hmm. Yeah.
It comes in every now moment when you are conscious with your child, when you are conscious with your spouse, when you're conscious with people whom you are interacting with, when you become conscious. That is how the change starts. You
Hmm.
give space to other people to become conscious, not judging the ones that maybe are not willing to do so yet, because as I said, we cannot change
Right.
anyone else. We can only change ourselves and our perception. I think perception is also a key word here, because unless we untie ourselves from these energetic bonds from our past, our perception of the now moment is tied to that, and it can never give us the truth. When you are standing in the knowingness of who you are, that who you truly are cannot be hurt by anything in this physical reality. You are a consciousness, a focus point of consciousness exploring physical reality here. When you understand that that is who you are and that unconditional love is your essence, nothing can touch you in this world, and you allow others to remember that within them. The ones that don't remember, don't judge them, because their time will come when they remember who they are or not. It doesn't actually matter. What matters is that you stay in your frequency, allowing others to stay in their frequency.
Hmm.
That is true freedom, not trying to change anyone else, only changing what you can change from within and acting from that change, not acting from anxiety, acting from a loving space within you.
Hmm.
But there's one thing more. When you've been a people pleaser your entire life, you become very, you can give love to everyone else. You have to remember yourself in that equation. It
Yes.
means that you need to give yourself love too.
Yes. Yes.
And we forget that. That's a very, very easy thing to forget. When you start giving love and standing in your truth and freedom, you forget yourself in it. So remember who you are and include yourself in that unconditional love you want to share with the world.
Hmm. Beautiful.
Yes.
It's so beautiful. It's
I
so beautiful.
see it. I
Yeah.
so want people to remember who they are. This is really something that I cannot fall asleep to this. I want us all to remember. I also know that I cannot change anyone else,
Right.
but we can inspire them. And I hope that this hour has been inspiring to people who have been with us today on this
Yes.
Easter Sunday.
Yes, on this beautiful day. And
Mm.
if you joined us late because for some reason the setting was set to private when we went live, um, you can go back and watch the beginning of this, or we'll put this on YouTube. Um, so you can catch the whole live, because the first, I think, 20 minutes were just between you and I. Even though we were live on Facebook, it was just a private live, which is so silly that that's even a setting, because who would want to go live on Facebook with just two people and not share that? But yeah, make sure you guys will put it on YouTube, and
Yes.
or you can watch the rest of it, the replay. And thank
Mm.
you, and thanks, Gordana. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas. I had a blast today with you.
Fine. Bye.